Hello there. As you might know, I'm a kid of the 90s. I followed every huge hype in the 90s like Tamagotchis, the Nick Carter hairstyle, which I can't wear anymore, unfortunately. Well, but I also remember a huge movie hype from the 90s, to be precise from the year 1998. Of course, I'm talking about Run, Lola, Run, a movie released at the peak of the so-called girlie hype. So the German actor Franka Potente sprinted with a crop top and her hair red as fire like a lunatic for 90 minutes straight through Berlin. The special thing about this film, Run, Lola, Run, is one of the few German productions that actually became quite successful internationally. And of course, this film was also a huge topic in our schoolyards for weeks. Today, 24 years after the great hype, I have the feeling this film seems a bit forgotten. Nobody really talks about it anymore. So I think it's time to bring back the good memory. Let's do a movie location tour of Run, Lola, Run here in Berlin. So, unfortunately, my movie location tour starts with a big disappointment because actually my plan was to check out Lola's route chronologically, to visit all the places chronologically she visits in the movie. But in fact, that makes no sense at all because that would be a zigzag run through Berlin. And of course, the producers of the movie cheated a lot in the movie. So we do it a different way, but we will start with the most important place you can see in the movie. And that's, of course, the supermarket and the telephone box Manny is standing in front of. But in fact, that will be the next big disappointment. And here's the reason why. The telephone box and also the supermarket don't exist anymore. Look at this construction site. In fact, the telephone box never existed at this road crossing. It used to be a set they built here just for the movie. The supermarket, however, did exist. It used to be a Bolle supermarket. Bolle was a quite famous and traditional supermarket chain here in Berlin with several branches. It used to be a dairy in the past, and in the 1970s they opened those supermarkets all over Berlin. However, in the late 1990s and 2000s, this supermarket chain was sold a lot of times to different owners, and a lot of branches were closed. And in the year 2011, this company, Bolle, finally was dissolved. Fun fact, while they shot the movie Run, Lola, Run, this wasn't even a Bolle store anymore. It used to be a Spar market in the year 97, 98, because Bolle already sold a lot of their branches. So this is actually fake. This hasn't been a Bolle market at that time. They just put the sign on the wall of the supermarket. And well, as you can see, today this supermarket building is finally being torn down. What hasn't been torn down is this building over here Manny is standing in front of in his telephone box, the pharmacy you can see in the movie Run, Lola, Run. It still exists, it's still here at this road crossing, and also the building doesn't really look that different like in the movie Run, Lola, Run. There is still this dark green style design element on the wall. I would say the only beautiful thing about this building. However, what isn't here anymore is this wind chime, this round wind chime you can see in the movie. As you might remember, there are a lot of rotating elements that you can see in this movie. It's some kind of a style element. So I'm pretty sure they put this wind chime at the wall for the movie. Of course, it's not here anymore in reality. Here's the scene from this perspective. Here we can see the door of the pharmacy building. In fact, this today is the so-called House of Health. There are a lot of doctors and stuff in it. But yeah, as you can see, the door almost looks the same like in the movie. Here's the blind lady and Manny. They are standing in front of those buildings over here. As you can see, those living houses have a slightly different color. They obviously have been painted during the past 24 years. And also the cars are a bit more modern today. Here we can see money again in front of the pharmacy. Here we can also see the pharmacy changed its name. It used to be the Schade Pharmacy. Meanwhile, it's the Aida Pharmacy. And here's Lola standing right in the middle of this road crossing, which is quite dangerous because there are actually a lot of cars driving around here. And we can see in the movie there is a snack bar on the left side of this picture. And also in reality there is a snack bar. However, today it's a falafel store. I think falafel is a food trend that came to Germany, to most German cities, I guess, within the past 10, 15 years, I guess. Within the past 10 years, I guess. I'm pretty sure there also has been a falafel store in Berlin in 1998, maybe. But I'm pretty sure this snack bar on the left, you can see here, hasn't been a falafel store at that time. It looks a bit like a typical German snack bar, you know, where you get the typical German food like currywurst, for example, and all the other unhealthy things. Here's the clock we can see a lot of times in the movie Run, Lola Run, which used to hang on the wall of the Bolle supermarket. I'm pretty sure this was not a real clock. I think they just put it here for the movie. Today, the clock, of course, is gone, and also the building itself is gone. This is the entrance door of the Bolle supermarket, which looks like this. It's a bit sad, to be honest, that they demolish this iconic shooting location, isn't it? So, these pictures you see in my video might be the last pictures you will see of this supermarket. So my video actually is some kind of an historical document, right? Here's money inside the supermarket, but we can also see what's happening outside the window. As we can see here on the right side in the movie, there used to be a fashion store, a small fashion store, obviously. Today, there is not a fashion store anymore. It's a naturopath. And this is the last scene I want to show you from this place. Lola and Money are running away from the police, and then they turn into this street. And now I would say it's time to leave this famous shooting location. The next place on the list is not this dark garage over here. No, it's the building over here. The place where Lola's run begins in her own apartment. And this is actually a quite funny example what a wide-angle lens can do to a picture. This is Lola's flat, and in the movie it looks like there is a huge park right in front of her apartment she's running through. In reality, it's actually quite small. Look at this. And that might be because they used a wide-angle camera for this scene. It's actually a quite interesting phenomenon that like every shooting location you visit in reality, it always looks a bit smaller than it actually looks on the cinema screen. But this is an extreme example. What else do we see on this picture? I would say in the movie scene, this area looks a bit overgrown. There are a lot of wild growing flowers and trees and stuff like that around those buildings. Today it looks a bit more clean and cut. And also Lola's flat building in the background looks a bit more clean and not so dirty like in the past. Well, this is actually the only scene I can show you from this place because it's also the only scene we can see of this flat in the movie. However, if you take a look at this scene, we can see also the gate that you can see in the movie Run, Lola Run today is still the same. Okay, we jump a bit in the plot because I really need the money and I really like to get it a bit faster than Lola did in the movie. So here's the place we could try our luck because this is the place where the casino is. The casino that is not really
a casino. This building you see right here in the movie scene and in reality is called the Crown Prince Palace. It's a quite important historical building here in Berlin, built in 1663 and then totally burned down during World War II. In the 1960s, however, this building was reconstructed and rebuilt, and this building also plays a quite important role in German history because in August 1990 the unification treaty between Germany, Western Germany, and the GDR was signed here. After that, the divided Germany officially was reunited. Fun fact, in the movie Lola Run, only the outside scenes of the casino have been filmed at this building at the Crown Prince Palace. The inside scenes have been shot in the town hall of the Berlin district Schöneberg. This scene is also quite interesting because in this scene you can see a building in the background, a building with a lot of glass at its walls, and surprisingly you don't see this building anymore in reality. Why is that? Well, this building you see in the movie scene is called the Palace of the Republic. It used to be a GDR building used for culture and concerts and stuff like that, but it was closed in the 1990s because of asbestos pollution, and they started to demolish this building in the year 2006. The funny thing is, the building you can see today in the background, in reality, hasn't been there while they shot the movie, even though it looks quite historical. This is the Berlin Castle, built a long time ago, in the 15th century, I guess. But this castle was destroyed also during war, and they rebuilt and reconstructed this castle a few years ago. And meanwhile, you will find a museum in this castle called the Humboldt Forum. And this is the last scene that has been filmed at this place. Lola almost got hit by a truck. She's standing in front of this truck. Once again, in reality, we see a construction site. It will not be the last time, I can promise. What you don't see in the movie, but what you see in reality, is the building on the left side of the picture. It's a monument called Neue Wache for the victims of the First and Second World War and the victims of the Nazi and GDR dictatorship.
Berlin, I have a question. How many construction sites can you handle? The answer is obviously yes, because also our next shooting location is a construction site. Meanwhile, it's the place where Lola meets the nuns and also the bike dealer. Unfortunately, you can't really see that if you're standing here.
And this is the scene we all know from the movie. Lola is running along this street, and like I said, we cannot really see this corner they show you in the movie over here, because there are some construction works going on over here, but what we can see are those buildings in the background. We can also see the bridge that is connecting those two buildings, and we can also see that those buildings are much more bright and more shining than in the movie, and that's because they renovated them over the past few years. In the past, this used to be the headquarters of a famous German bank, Deutsche Bank. Today, the German Ministry of Health is located in those buildings you see over here. The camera pans down, we can see the cyclist, and what you can also see in this scene, also in the movie 24 years ago, there are some construction works going on here. Obviously some road works, if I see that right. Yeah, also the markings on the street are missing, as you can see here. Yeah, today there are no road works, but there are a lot of construction works on the buildings you can see here. Here we can see the nuns, and when I watched the movie, I actually thought that this, on the left side in the movie, is a church, because it definitely looks like it. But if we take a closer look here, in reality, we can see it's not a church. Only the entrance of this building looks like a church. This is still the huge building complex that belongs to this former bank building, but it's not a church, even though there are some ornaments or something like that right above the doors. Looks very historic, and yeah, it's actually a good thing that they renovate this building, but yeah, it's not a church. And just a few hundred meters away from this filming location, we will find another filming location that I actually didn't want to visit because I actually found it quite boring while watching the movie. But then I stumbled across it by mistake. And actually this place is much more interesting than I thought. It's this place right here. This is the so-called Friedrichstraße or Friedrich Street. And the funny thing about this is 24 years ago, this was just a normal street with cars and stuff like that. Today, cars aren't allowed here anymore. And that's because the Friedrich Street is some kind of a pilot project here in Berlin. The politics decided they wanted to get rid of all those cars in the city of Berlin. So they started a pilot project in this Friedrich Street. And well, the main goal, of course, is to make this street much more worth living. Does it work? Some say so, some say so. There are a lot of people that don't really like this idea because they have the feeling that much less people visiting all those shops you can see in this street. The final report of this pilot project says something else. It says actually that this street is much more crowded than it used to be when cars were still allowed here. So, well, this is actually a quite controversial project here in Berlin. What is also quite interesting, if we take a look at this scene, there are a few more shops in the street. In the past, 24 years ago in the movie, there used to be a shop called Travel Service, and this obviously belonged to American Express, the credit card company, as I have learned from my community, because I asked this question in the German version of this video, what actually is this shop? It obviously belonged to American Express. We can also see the building on the right used to be empty in the past, and it's still like that today. Obviously, it's the building which also belongs to a bank, the German Sparkasse. But obviously, also here in this building, there are some construction works going on. And this thing over here in the middle of the road that you can also see in the movie Run, Lola Run is also quite interesting because this is an abandoned subway station. While the movie has been filmed 24 years ago, this subway station still was active. It was the subway station Französische Straße. It's abandoned since December 2020 because just 150 meters away from the street, a new subway station opened, so they didn't need it anymore. So this is actually a lost place right in the middle of a car-free road in Berlin.
Okay guys, something is absolutely wrong here. First, I failed to get any money at the casino, then there are construction sites everywhere, and now I wanted to break into a bank, the bank of Lola's father, but unfortunately the bank is not a bank, it's a hotel. What the heck?
Yeah, to be precise, this is the Hotel de Rome. In the past, also this building used to be a bank building, but not of Deutsche Transferbank, as you can see in the movie. This bank never existed, they just made it up for the movie. This building used to be the building of Dresdner Bank, a quite famous German bank. However, today it's a hotel, a 5-star hotel to be precise. I did some research how much a room costs per night for one person. Obviously, it starts around 400 euros and it goes up to 600, 700 euros. So nothing for me. I also do not drive a Porsche. So unfortunately, I cannot get any money from this place. I would lose a lot of money at this place if I would stay here. This is the reverse shot. What you can see here is the so-called Bebel Square in Berlin. And as we can see here in the movie and in reality, obviously, in the past, it used to be much greener than it is today. There are a lot of trees in the background that are missing today. Yeah, and of course also the police cars are not here today. But what is here actually and what didn't exist 24 years ago are those e-scooters. You can see here a symbol of the year 2022, I would say.
think it's time to show you one of the most iconic places from the movie Run, Lola Run, which is of course this railway bridge. Lola is coming from over there, and then she turns onto the Oberbaum Bridge, which is the bridge over there. Let's see if we will find the scenes.
And this is the scene we all know from the movie. Lola is running around this curve over here, and once again we can see they obviously turned a road into a cycle path. Am I right? You can see that on the left side of the picture. There is a red cycle path. In the past, it didn't look like a cycling path. It looked like a normal street. So I'm not really sure what they did here. What else do we see? The buildings in the background are still here, even though the trees you can see here in the picture are much higher than they used to be 24 years ago. And on the left side here in reality, we see once again there is a construction site with a huge crane. You can see there is some kind of a parking space on the left side of this picture. Today there is a construction site. The camera pans to the right. We can see Lola running underneath those bridge piers. They are still here. They still look exactly the same. They are surrounded by some kind of barriers. I guess they are here so that no car can drive into those bridge piers. I don't know. What we can also see in the background, there is this beautiful green park, which still exists, even though also in this scene we can see the trees you can see in the background are much higher than they used to be. And this finally is the iconic scene we all know from the movie. Lola is running across the Oberbaum Bridge. What we can see here is those bars you can see at the roof of the picture in the movie looked much darker than they do in reality. In reality, they look like tiled. Is that the right word? In the movie, they don't look like this. They look black. Everything else still looks quite the same like it did in the movie. By the way, this Oberbaum Bridge is also a quite important piece of German history, because in the past, on this bridge, there was a border between West Berlin and East Berlin, which belonged to the GDR. So for many, many decades, it was not really possible to cross this bridge. In the year 1997, 1998, Germany was reunited again for almost 10 years. So gladly it was possible to film those iconic scenes here on this famous bridge.
Okay, I think it's time for the dramatic climax. No, I'm not talking about the movie Run, Lola Run. I'm talking about my movie location tour, because this is the street where Lola gets shot. And no, this is not a spoiler, because you know how the movie continues.
And here it is, once again, our dream couple, Manny and Lola, are running away from the police, and they are running around this corner over here. On the right side, we can see a restaurant. Obviously, they renovated it within the past years. You can see the window on the right side of the picture is much deeper, it's much bigger than it used to be in the past 24 years ago. And on the left side of the picture, we can see a huge building, which is some kind of a club or concert hall or cultural center, stuff like that. In the past, one of my German viewers told me that this used to be a cinema, obviously. So the letters you can see on the top of this building, Vögel or something, obviously this used to be a cinema in the past. Yeah, and in the following scenes, we see Manny and Lola running up and down the street over and over again. For example, in this scene, once again, we can see on the right side, there is this concert hall, this cultural center. There are also a lot of rock music fans, obviously standing in front of. There seems to be a concert right now. Yeah, in the past, obviously, it used to be a cinema. In this scene, we can see Lola and Manny running along this cobblestone street. Today, it's not a cobblestone street anymore. And what we can also see is the building is brand new. It hasn't been here 24 years ago. The building on the right side, however, was here 24 years ago, even though it has a different painting. In this scene, we can see that a bit more clearly. On the left side, we can see an ugly, maybe also abandoned building. Meanwhile, there is this modern, clean, fancy building on the left side. Manny and Lola are turning around, and that is actually a super bad idea because they are running straight towards the river Spree. You can't actually go any further here. The trees at the end of this street, there is some kind of a sitting area for the locals that live here in this street. Is still here. The parking spaces obviously are a bit different today than they used to be in the past. And this scene is also quite interesting because here we can see on the left side there's also a new building. And this finally is the last scene I want to show you today. Lola lies on the ground, shot and dead. Yeah, that has been filmed from this perspective. And I would say now it's time to leave this place. Now it's time to leave Berlin. That was my shooting location tour of Run, Lola Run. So, back from Berlin. I really hope you liked my shooting location tour of Run, Lola Run. If you did, then please leave a thumbs up. You can also hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you won't miss any upcoming video. And if you'd like to support me and my work, then please check out the Patreon in the description. Then you will get new videos before everyone else and a lot of exclusive stuff. For example, all of the addresses of the shooting locations I showed you in this video if you like to do this tour by yourself. So yeah, please check that out. And I would say that's it for today. Have a safe journey and see you next time.